And we've talked about there's the sales cycle, so that sits there. You've got the 8 questions that sit within the sales cycle, never change, the rest of your life and everything. You've also got 7 keys of negotiation. The 7 keys are just there. They sit over the top. They're always there. So the questions I've said don't change. The elements of the sales cycle don't change. And okay, so there's 3 things. There's one last thing. They're the 3 things. The 4th component. I get ahead of myself. Okay, so you've got your 8 questions, which we did. You've got the sales cycle. You've got the 7 steps of negotiation. Let's call that 7 keys of a negotiation. Now, there's only one more bit. There's only actually 3 types of questions. There are only the 8 questions. But of all the things I've ever taught you guys about asking questions, they only come in 3 types. Write these 3 types down. Red, blue, and yellow. I'm being silly. They're not colours at all. There's only 3 types of questions. No, they're types. They are called open questions, direct questions, and closed questions. Sometimes they're known as slightly different words. Open, direct questions. Direct questions are also known as pointed questions or hook questions, which are closed questions. There's only 3 types. So what happens is, you have the 8 questions. But could you guys imagine that over a 2-hour conversation, just chatting with someone around a house, that although there's the 8 questions, and you know that I want you to always only ever ask questions, could you imagine that you're going to need some more questions than just the standard 8? Over a 2-hour period, do you think it's possible that you can only say, is that important to you so many times? Okay. So good. Okay. So what it is here is not to say to you, here's 50 more questions. It's not that. It's to understand the science of the types. If I can share with you the 3 types, then you guys can find 50 of your own questions. What I'm actually going to do is, I'm actually going to now educate you on the 3 types. There's only 3 types. Each time I educate you to a type, you then will do an exercise of finding the actual question that you can make up yourselves that fits in type 1, right? Type 2, type 3. And then watch the magic of all this then come together. And the reason I'm doing this is then when I talk to you about how to speak to mortgage brokers, agents, marketing a hot market, you're going to see that as I walk you through those things, these 4 things, you'll go, oh my God, that fits into that, the cycle, one of the 3 things, one of the 8, one of, like, you'll see they all just fit in. It's just all now sort of locks together. People in the funnel, right? We have what's called the little funnel, which you see me draw for you all the time in the hopper. But we also have what's called an intellectual funnel. It means a structure of leading questions where I will take people where I want people to go. You with me? So what if I could construct questions that would actually, if I want people to end up here, over there, what if my questions could lead them that they have nowhere to go except end up here?
You wouldn't do that, would you, Rick?
Absolutely not. My God, that's a word that would never jump out of my mouth. Is that what it is? We call it persuasion. Now, knowing that the first one is an open-ended question, and knowing where we're going with our questions, what do you think the next question may limit? Correct. It limits their answers. I now start putting controls on their responses. So now the next one becomes what's called a direct question or a choice question, because people have to choose. It's known as a direct question. Oh, by the way, women do this brilliantly. Men struggle at it. So when we finish this exercise, I will let you know, gentlemen, what women have been doing to you for centuries word for word, and suddenly the light bulbs will go on, and you go, that's the last time I'm taking out the garbage. Especially when you thought it was your idea. Now, okay, so these are called pointed, or they now start limiting where people can go, okay? I'm actually helping direct them in a particular direction. Therefore, these are called choice questions or direct questions. What I've done is, by direct questions, you start to close down people's choice. Now, you're going to come to what's called, we've moved past a direct question, which is a closed question. Now,
The gate, this one.
huh?
Shuts the gate.
The shuts the gate. This is the question where you have totally controlled the person's answer. Women are born this, I think they're injected with this gene the day they're born. See, because a smart woman will do this. Do you love me? It's direct. Although no man would say no. But if it doesn't work, and he says something like, yeah, yeah, great. Or, here's the classic you'll get. I know you love me. Huh? I know you love me. What? Then you'll get what's called the closed question. I know you love me, don't you? Right? When anybody puts what's called a hook question, it already has answered it for you, and it's already virtually predetermined the answer. Now, one of the ones I use is, if we did this together, blah, 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 would that present a problem? But I know that it will control and manipulate that person to say no, which means yes. So if I finish something with, does that present a problem? Or if it finishes with, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, will also manipulate and control someone's answer. If it finishes that way. These get even more subtle. Honey, we've got to go down to the store, and we've got to go to the sports store or the shoe store. Now, do you want to come to the shoe store? It's a very, by the way, what do you reckon the guys will say? No. Do you think the women already know that? So, although it looks like it's a direct question, it's an absolute hook question, because the women already know the guy will never say, I'm coming to the shoe store. Let me ask you, honey, there's this big screen TV store right there with football players on it and free beer, or you can come with me, to the shoe shop and say nothing. What will the guy do every time? Big TV. So, this is where it gets quite subtle. And it is the subtlety between the actual words you use and the words you don't use. But what it does, it actually will control someone's thinking and where they go in a conversation. And it actually closes out a funnel. 3 questions that can take anybody to end up where I want them to any time.